Hello, good evening, and welcome to this late night introduction to our challenge, which is starting on Monday. 5 ways in 5 days to love yourself more. Excuse me, I'm going to turn my phone down. I just thought I'd pop on and introduce myself. I know it's really late, but I wanted to take this opportunity because I know that it's Saturday tomorrow and you'll get a chance to see this first thing in the morning when you've got some no work, hopefully, and you've got an opportunity to watch it all the way through. I decided to do this live today. I've been thinking about it all day, and I thought about all the people that don't actually know me or haven't worked with me or haven't experienced me before, but maybe somebody else has brought you into the group, or somebody else who very kindly introduced you to the group. I thought I would give you a personal introduction to myself. And I thought I'd make myself a little bit vulnerable, because I know that this challenge is really going to be about vulnerability, about allowing yourself to experience those feelings from your childhood that have maybe kept you stuck in the now, things that happened back then. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Anne-Marie Wickham. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm a life coach. I'm an energy healer and a parent and youth mentor. I'm also a radio host on Wellbeing Radio, and I'm a public speaker. So I have lots of different jobs. And when I start to share my story with you, maybe some of those many jobs that I have might become clearer to you as to why I like to do so many jobs. So as I said, my name's Anne-Marie, and I have had a very checkered past, as we all have. Maybe I've had a lot more experiences because I was born into care, and I moved 17 times before I was 14 years old, which was quite a challenging journey for me. And it all started when I was 2 years old and my mum put me in care. Anyway, when I was 4 years old, I was placed with a foster family. Needless to say, they weren't the ideal family that I could have wished and hoped and prayed for. And when I was 4 years old, I got a birthday gift, which was actually a puzzle. I remember this very, very clearly. And it was the only present I had, so it was the only thing that I could be excited about. And I set about putting this puzzle together. And when I finished the puzzle, there were actually 3 pieces of this puzzle missing. And I was actually made to search for these 3 pieces of the puzzle. I had to go and search everywhere around the house until I found these 3 pieces of puzzle, which I never found, because what I later found out was that as in all good fairy stories, the evil he's not my stepfather, he was my foster dad. He'd actually already taken those 3 pieces of a puzzle out. So basically I was set up to fail. I was set up to fail because it was incomplete. And I realized as I got older that I replicated this story of the past over and over again. In fact, I realized that I had this fantasy about happy ever after, and it was so strong that I found it very difficult to find anything that would live up to my idea of happy ever after. And I think many of us do this. I'm just speaking from my experience, but that we have this ideology of the perfect man or the perfect life, the 2.5 kids, the white picket fence, the big house. And very often we set ourselves up, we put this lifestyle on a pedestal. And I can say now that's absolutely natural. It's not your fault, because we are all born into this ideology of that we should all have this happy ever after life. I think it's been replaced now with the laptop lifestyle, but nonetheless, it's a search that will always end in failure, because it cannot be achieved. Number one, because we don't actually get taught how to create the life of our desires. There is a way that you can do it, but that's certainly not what we're taught at school. So most of the time we spend our life in lack, dreaming and wishing for the life that we desire. But, even though I had all of these things against me, it didn't stop me trying to reach for this perfect life, even though I constantly felt invisible and insignificant. And so I set about challenging myself to be the very best at everything that I did, which was a lot to live up to. And I did succeed quite a few times. I've had some quite prolific achievements to my name, but it didn't matter what I achieved. The win was never enough to fill up that gaping hole in my heart. It just didn't touch it. And, obviously, because I had no parents, I was in care. So I had brothers and sisters, but long story short, I wasn't allowed to actually communicate or connect with them. So I felt very unlikable, and I set about making myself likable. I became the funny one. I became the one that always cracked jokes, that did all the dares and stuff like that, just so that I could make myself likable. And I collected a whole lot of friends, but I also suffocated most of them. And I don't mean in the literal sense. I mean, I poured too much love onto them. And then I struggled to keep up with all the friends that I'd made. So I became a bad friend. Then obviously I felt lonely and unlikable because people would get very fed up with the fact that I had no friends, and I would jump from one friend to the other. I don't know if any of this resonates with you. I constantly felt rejected. So I became very angry and intimidating. And I took on this air of, I just don't care. And I did that through all of my childhood days. I didn't care what happened as I moved from transient home to transient home. And as I got older and turned into an adult, I became that really angry black woman that just had a chip on her shoulder. And I avoided attachments with anybody, even though it was absolutely what I craved. What I needed the most was a connection with somebody, but I absolutely avoided that through fear of being rejected. And I felt neglected. I didn't just feel neglected, I was neglected. So I gravitated towards jobs where I could nurture other people. And I saw this, what I did, I saw it repeated time and time again with some of the women that came to work for me. I worked in nurseries. I was a nursery manager. I was an early years consultant. I was a teacher. I was a Montessori teacher. So I did all these jobs where I could nurture other people instead of nurturing myself, because that's what I really needed to do. So I just felt more lonely and more ashamed. And this gaping chasm of emptiness and unfulfillment was becoming deeper and deeper inside me. And it wasn't being filled with anything that made me feel loved, likable, lovable, none of those things. So if you've ever heard of Tony Robbins, he's a really big personal development person. I'm sure you've heard of him. And he talks about the 6 basic needs of humanity. In order for a human being to survive and then thrive, they need to have, they will seek out one of these basic needs. And usually there has to be 2 of these basic needs to be met before somebody will agree to go and do something. Well, I can tell you, I ticked all 4 of those boxes in most of the things I did, because I was never given that support, nurturing and development as a child. So I ticked all of those boxes. So he talks about certainty. We all need certainty in our life. And I craved certainty. I craved knowing that I was going to have this happy ever after. And I was constantly on a search to have this happy ever after. I craved the second basic need he talks about is uncertainty. So we need certainty to know that we're going to be looked after, that we've got a home, that we can have a bed to sleep in at night. These are things we need to be certain of so that we can feel safe and secure. And I really crave those. Secondly, uncertainty. You need to be sure that you're going to have variety in your life. I mean, who wants to watch the same film 25 times? Although I do know people that do, these people that like to watch Dirty Dancing, or, that's what you do when you're younger. But really, by the time you're sort of in your 20s and upwards, you crave variety. You want to know that things are going to be different. And so I wanted to know those things too. So I became very, very ambitious, because I wanted all of these new experiences, because I thought that one of them might fill the really gaping chasm of emptiness that I felt inside. So I did a lot of jobs. I had a lot of experiences, and still none of them even touched the sides. I enjoyed them, but they didn't fulfill me or fill me up. The third basic need that Tony Robbins talks about is significance. Many of us need to feel significant, to feel that we are worthy of being here. And I really craved significance. I just wanted someone to notice me, and I did prolific things for that to happen. So I spoke at the House of Commons. I did really amazing things. And even though I did these amazing things, I'm just trying to think of the top of my head. I moved to Germany. I moved all of my family to Germany. I won so many awards for being an outstanding person in jobs and in competitions and things like that, because I wanted to feel, I really wanted to feel significant. But it didn't matter what I did, I didn't feel significant. And this made me become more and more ambitious to reach higher and higher, to get that sense of I am an important person, but it didn't happen. And the fourth need that Tony Robbins talks about is love and connection. And we all know that most of us, the majority of people on this planet, crave love and connection. And for me, I used my I was a good-looking woman when I was young, so I used my figure and my attractive looks to get that love and connection. But unfortunately, I did look in all the wrong places, and I attracted the most inappropriate men because they could smell that air of desperation about me. You know, I almost wore a perfume of vulnerability, and to the balanced, nice guy, that just wasn't attractive. I wasn't giving off the right vibration to attract a nice, loving, caring person into my life. I was giving off a vibration of desperation and neediness and clinginess. And so what that did was attract the worst type of men to me that would just, well, really basically use and abuse me. It's for want of a better word. And I'm not ashamed to say this, because I know that as a woman, there are many other women that have had this same story that I'm sharing with you. Maybe one of those needs, maybe two of those needs, or maybe all four of those needs, like me. I ticked all four of those boxes all the time. But a funny thing happened along the way as I was looking for my missing pieces of my jigsaw. It's almost like that my foster father, he kind of set me up for a lifetime of failure, because from the moment when I was 4, when I was missing those 3 pieces of jigsaw puzzle, incidentally, I never found them. Then I set on a pathway of trying to find the missing pieces of my own life. And as I moved in and out of my jobs, caring for others and mending their broken hearts, I realized it gave me a real sense of achievement. And slowly but surely, it did start filling me up, because I realized it gave me a sense of purpose and joy. And I felt my heart filling up and becoming less and less empty. And this set me on a mission to find out as much as I could about how can I heal other people's hearts so that I could heal my own heart. So I stumbled upon life coaching, and I really did stumble across it. I just, one weekend, I saw it advertised on Facebook, and I decided to go along. This was about 10 years ago. I just saw this advert for life coaching, and I went along for this weekend, and I learned that just by the words that you use, you could change people's lives. Really, you could change people's lives. So I started life coaching people, and it went from, you know, me being a teacher and a nurturer to actually transforming and changes people's lives. And it gave me an idea that if I could do that for other people, then there might be a chance or an opportunity that I could do it for myself. So, and the other thing I realized is that every time I stumbled upon someone else's flaw or their issue, and I was able to heal it, incidentally, it had the effect of healing a little part of myself. And what I also noticed is the people that I attracted to work with me all suffered from the same issues as what I had. So I did this very roundabout way of healing myself by healing the hearts of the people that I was attracting to work with me when I was life coaching. Sorry, my voice is hoarse because it was my birthday on Tuesday, and I did have a brilliant birthday, and I laughed and sung a little bit too much, and I'm not apologizing for that. It was fantastic. Anyway, So what I noticed was every time I identified a flaw in my clients, I healed a part of myself and I got stronger and stronger and stronger. And I started to recognize the words, I started to recognize the actions, and I started to recognize the turning points for my clients more and more and more. I could see the synchronicity of what I needed to share with them in order for them to make their own breakthroughs. And I got really good at this because I recognized their pain. It was the same pain that I'd been carrying. So I wanted to take it to another level. I studied neuroscience and I studied hypnotherapy. So I could talk directly and specifically to my clients and use the words, sometimes the words that they would give me, but very often the words that I knew they needed to hear to connect with their own pain. I can hear something. Jason? Oh, it's Casey. It's my son. I could hear some. It's okay, Casey. Are you all right? Okay. I'm going to carry on. Sorry about that. There was a bit of an interruption there. Yes, so that's what I realized, that I had this skill or this gift to be able to speak to someone and within 5 minutes understand what their pain was and be able to share with them what they could do to eliminate that pain and to fill up their hearts in the same way that I was filling up my own heart. And that's when I created my first program, and it is still called Flow. And Flow is an 8-step program that really answered all my why questions, and it soothed the pain of the most important question, which I think we all ask ourselves, which was, why me? So from that place, all of my answers became the missing pieces of the jigsaw puzzle that I was trying to complete. The map or the foundation of my life, I began to complete the whole picture of who I really am and what I really am about, not what everybody else was trying to project on me. And I'm so glad that I did that. I'm so glad that I invested that time, and there was money involved. I went on to a lot of personal development training. I trained to be a hypnotherapist. I trained to be an NLP, a neuro-linguistic practitioner. I trained to learn about neuroscience because I realized that by investing in myself, investing in these modalities, I was actually investing in myself, because with each new understanding that I had of why I'd gone through all of that pain, I was able to eliminate them to get to a place of filling my heart with joy and self-love. So when I knew who I was, I reached a new level of confidence and a new level of awareness, a new level of being, which allowed me to create with confidence the life that I truly know I deserved. So I'm going to ask you that same question. We are starting in 3 days' time. And I want to ask you, are you ready for that shift? Are you ready for that life? I can imagine that you may be scared. I spent most of my life scared, to be honest, which I covered up in all sorts of ways, being funny, being loud, being over the top, because I was just scared all the time. But just maybe you might be excited about what I've shared with you. Maybe you might have connected with some of the issues that I suffered, that I've shared with you. And I've watched so many women and men that I've shared my story with be able to step out in faith over fear, because they've seen me, they see how confident I am, and they realize that they don't have to stay stuck where they are, and that my journey gives them confidence to be able to say, I want to do that for myself. And I invite anybody, any one of you that's watching this, that's thinking, that may be scared, that maybe thinks, well, Anne-Marie's super confident, I wasn't always this person. I used to be scared to ask questions about anything, much less questions that I felt that I could be rejected about. And I'm talking silly things. I'm doing really silly things. I just wouldn't ask because I wouldn't want to have someone talk badly to me. I didn't like confrontation. I didn't like to feel wrong because I'd feel rejected. All of those things I mastered because I learned that the most important person or the most important judgment in my world was mine and not everybody else's. That said, gosh, that was quite long. That's quite emotional for me as well. So I want to ask you a question. What would happen if you weren't scared? What would happen if you could have everything that you want? What would your life look like? What would you create for yourself if you knew that you couldn't fail? And how would you feel if you knew that you could be brave enough to step out in faith over fear, and that you would have someone to guide you and stand in front of you the whole way to make sure that there weren't any trip up hazards, that they went first, that they were your almost like the king that has his personal taste person to make sure that the food isn't poisoned? What if you had somebody like that for you that went first and made sure that everything was okay? Well, that someone is me. I've already been first, and I can guarantee you I will step out in faith over fear for you so that you can be brave enough to step out and claim the life that you know you'd like to have, but that maybe you're too fearful to create because you don't have the right tools, because you don't have the right knowledge, and because you don't have the confidence. I don't know. It may be one or all of those. And when you embark on this journey, then you can start to step into the two final basic needs that Tony Robbins talked about that avoided me for so long. I talked about the four, didn't I? I talked about certainty, uncertainty, significance, and love and connection, but there are two more. And when you can get to the point of feeling really confident, you put all the pieces of your puzzle into those four basic needs, and you've got a flat playing field. From that place, you can start to create. And that's the fifth basic need that Tony Robbins talks about, and it's called growth. From that place of feeling whole yourself, then you can start growing to become the person that can serve others in a really powerful way, because you have a journey that you can then share and show others. I did this and you can do that too. And then when you get to that point of personal growth, so that you have the power to choose the life and direction that you want, then you can take the next step. And that next step is contribution. That's me right now. I'm in that phase of being able to contribute to shifting you to a different mindset, to a different place of awareness, because I've walked that path, because I've been brave enough to go through those four basic needs, acquire those four basic needs to complete my puzzle, my map of life puzzle, so that I can now contribute and give freely, without fear, and with love, and with real love. How does that feel? I hope it feels a lot better than what it did before you thought about going on this journey. I hope I've given you the confidence to be able to step out in faith over fear. So firstly, I want to invite you to take some time over this weekend and really think about what it is you want from this 5-day challenge, and set some intentions for yourself. Set your powerful intentions for your happy ever after story that's not based on the media's view of lack, that you haven't got everything that you need, that you're not empowered enough to make this journey. I invite you to set some intentions for your happy ever after that are applicable to your life, that are applicable to you and only you, whatever you want for your life. Okay. And I want you to consider how you would like to be able to contribute to the world once you reach that place of fulfilling those basic needs and filling up your empty heart too. And if you want to be accountable for your journey, because sometimes we find it easier to do things if we are doing them for somebody else. I know that I felt like that for a long time. I couldn't commit to things, but I could commit to things for other people. And that was more to do with my sense of rejection. I didn't want to be rejected, so I'd always show up for somebody else. But I couldn't show up for myself. I do now, obviously. But if you want to show up for yourself, but you don't know if you can commit to that, then you can have an accountability partner. I invite you to, number one, go into the group and find an accountability partner. But number two, I want you to be I invite you to be accountable to yourself and write one intention that you would really like to receive by the end of this 5 days. Okay, one intention relating to achieving a sense of self-love and self-worth for yourself. What would you like to achieve? I did put some suggestions up in the group, and I'm going to put another poll in tomorrow about other things so I can give you some ideas. I don't want to put words into your head, but I do want to give you some ideas of how you can feel a whole person, how you can feel that your heart is full, if that's okay with you. So I invite you to do that. Think over the weekend about what you'd like for this journey, and then post one of your intentions in the group. And again, if what you've heard this evening on this live has really connected with you, that you've been sitting there in your mind and going, oh my gosh, tick, tick, I do that, tick, I do that, tick, I do that, tick, I do that. And you just feel, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that I wasn't the only one. I felt that I've been living in this prison of my own mind, and it's only me that feels like this, because I felt like that for a lot of years. I'm going to tell you that straight. I honestly felt so lonely, even though I had lots of friends. I felt very lonely because they just weren't like me. So if you're feeling, wow, Anne-Marie is really talking my truth, and I'm ready to claim back my life. I'm ready to create my own happy ever after the way that I want it. And I don't need anybody else's opinion or advice about how to do that. I want to do it for myself. If that's how you're feeling right now, awesome. I'm so happy for you. You've had a fantastic shift all by yourself. And I absolutely got the massive respect for you, because that's how I had to do it too. I didn't go on a training course, and no one gave me awareness. I came to that decision for myself because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Absolutely. So if you're already feeling that urgency, that sense of, I want to shift, I want to change this, I don't want to live like this anymore, I want to claim my happy ever after, then I invite you to go into the group or direct message me. Just direct message me and say, Anne-Marie, can we set up a call? Or I'll post my Calendly link into the group, and you can accept with Calendly. Sometimes it puts dates in that I'm not available, but you could put a date in there anyway, and I can come back to you and say that date's not available, but we could do that date. And you could just have an exploration call, a curiosity call, where you can ask me more questions about what I've spoken about. You can share anything with me, and you can ask me what options there are that I have for you working with me, because there are more than one options. The flow program that I talked about is 8 sessions long, and it's life-changing. It's transformational. It's everything that I've learned in 54 years condensed into 8 sessions. You can imagine that's a lot of learning, because I've done a lot of things, and I've had a lot of experiences, and I've had a lot of friends, and obviously I've lived in a lot of different places, and I've met a lot of different people. So I really have had more than my fair share of experiences that have taught me and that have grown me. So if you want to have a conversation about that, then you can go in the group, or you can direct message me and say, Anne-Marie, I'd like to just have a chat. Okay. I just want to say this: wherever you are in your journey, wherever you are, you're watching this video for a reason. Okay. And I want you to trust your intuition, what your intuition tells you to do. So, because that's what saved me in the end. It wasn't people telling me what to do. It wasn't all the experiences I had, because it's only in the last 5 years that I've understood the reason why I did all those things, why I was so scared of rejection, why I felt abandoned, why I tried so hard to be lovable, which meant me being loud, me meeting the wrong people, me being too scared to speak up, me being overly kind to people and over giving. I didn't understand. I did all those things, but I didn't understand why. I didn't know it reflected back to my childhood and the unresolved issues from my childhood, because they all are. Okay. So trust your intuition, send me a DM, or come to the 5 days and just start your journey. Just start. Because if you listen to your intuition, you can have everything that you desire. You really can. That's what I did, and that's what's led me here. So if you listen to your intuition and just trust yourself to know that you're going to make the right decision. All right. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you all on Monday. I'm going to do a live at 6 p.m. I might pop in at the weekend. I don't know yet. Depends how it goes. But I felt compelled to share this with you this evening. I've made some notes. I know you've been watching me make some notes, but I didn't want to miss anything out. I wanted to make sure that you could really connect with the whole picture that would give you the information and the inspiration that you need to say yes to you. Okay, so that's me. Thank you for taking the time to watch, and I look forward to seeing you on Monday. Take care.